On this week's episode of the WNP podcast, we tell you who is the best receiver in this draft. Stay tuned. Episode 138 of the We're Not Professionals podcast. I'm your host, Mike Mitchelson, and joining me today, as always, my co-host, Chase Grashaw. Chase, how you doing?
I'm doing swell. How are you? Why was that so
sensual?
Yes.
It's because I like to pleasure our viewers by giving them...
That's horrifying. That's horrifying.
By giving them all of the greatest insight when it comes to football, including today we're doing our pass catchers rankings with our top 8 wide receivers, our top 4 tight ends. We're going to give you all of that. And hey, I got to say, I'm so excited for this show because we've done quarterback, we've done running back, but those are probably the 2 weakest spots, position groups in this draft. We finally get to talk about guys that there's multiple first-round grades in these groups. So I am pumped to get it started.
Yeah, we did when we did those shows, I ended up redoing my grades a little bit. So go back to the running backs. Breece Hall's moved above Kyren Williams now.
Shocker.
Kyren Williams number 3, but Breece Hall ends up with a first-round grade actually for me now.
Yeah.
So
I told you he's a beast.
I had 2 running backs and two quarterbacks, excuse me. End up being first-round grades, so that's 4 people right there. And there are 10 people I currently have graded as first-round players. So that's just a little foreshadowing to what's coming today.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a very fun episode, but we've got some news to talk about very briefly before we do that. But before we do that, got to open my mark. First mark of the day.
Yeah.
Sure you guys can tell.
What is that, 3rd or 4th?
Only 3rd. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Alcoholic.
Okay. It's only been 2 hours.
It was a long day of work.
It's only been 2 hours.
It's been a long day of work. And it's 60 degrees out. Absolutely gorgeous. Make sure to get outside. I know I'm dying to play some volleyball. I'm sure you are too.
I would like to play volleyball. It's only been, 6-7 years.
You could always come out and just sit in the sand, make a sandcastle or something.
I can't get sand in my wounds.
Well, do you have clothes on or?
Yeah, but it can still happen. You go to the beach, you get sand everywhere.
What's going to happen, and I know this would happen, is Graham would go for a diving play, just kick up all the sand all over you.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
All right, let's get into the news. First up, Deshaun Watson, a very big trade market for him. The leading parties were Carolina and New Orleans for quite a while. And then we got a little bit of a change of pace. We got the Cleveland Browns entering. Baker Mayfield very upset about that. And then you have the Atlanta Falcons, who apparently have made a really big push. They're actually meeting with him today as of recording.
It would be absolutely hilarious if he ended up in Cleveland because I would hate that. You would be horrified.
I mean, he'd still be the second best quarterback in the division, but
yeah, behind Lamar.
Okay. Okay.
But imagine he goes there and the Steelers get Malik Willis, and then that division just has
the Steelers have Trubisky. They don't need him.
Okay, but they're gonna draft Malik Willis. He's gonna develop into a franchise quarterback, and there's 4 franchise quarterbacks in that division for the next 15 years.
George, how you doing today? We didn't introduce George the giraffe, of course, joining us for this episode. Look at how he's looking at you, dude. He is pissed.
Yeah, I mean he's rattled. I don't know what team do giraffes like. Like who would he be sporting that would get him rattled? He
was a Colts fan because Manning really long neck.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then he was a Broncos fan, and now he's who's got a really long neck? Joey Bosa kind of does.
So he's a Chargers fan.
Joe Flacco kind of does.
So he's a free agent fan.
Wait, Ryan Tannehill, Titans fan.
Titans.
No, Flacco signed today with the Jets.
Again?
1 year, like $3 million.
That's
something.
What a waste of time.
Yeah, so we are going to do a full free agency recap in 2 weeks from now. We've got our wide receiver show, so we very briefly want to talk about some news, and then, of course, going to be talking quickly about the Bengals and the Lions, update you on their situations. Those are the 2 teams we cover mainly here, but Chase, if you want Deshaun Watson to go one place, what would it be?
Atlanta.
I agree. I think that's the best situation for him. I think him going back to his home state, being able to work with Kyle Pitts, that would be really cool.
Kyle Pitts, maybe Calvin Ridley gets unsuspended and wants to save it around at that point too.
I saw someone say Kyle Pitts would have to go back the other way, and I'm like, I don't think he would. And if he did, I think Deshaun Watson would not be very happy about it.
Yeah, I think he would. I think Deshaun Watson's going to see, okay, what are the trade details before he just accepts a trade? And then see that like, no, this guy must be with me, because like without Kyle Pitts there's no immediate legitimate receiving options. Whereas Kyle Pitts is a very good starting piece, and the Falcons can commit to, the next year or two, really building those pieces through free agency in the draft, and can, maybe provide a good environment for D Watts. So if they were to send Kyle Pitts away too, he would definitely say no.
Yeah, and apparently the Houston Texans rules, I guess, they set in place for an interview with Deshaun Watson is a trade package needed to be presented that was pleasable to the Atlanta Falcons. Or not the Atlanta Falcons, the Houston Texans.
Yep.
So that would mean the Cleveland Browns, the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, and the Carolina Panthers have all presented deals worthy of the Texans trading Deshaun Watson. So now it's really just up to Deshaun.
Yeah. It's
crazy to think.
It's going to be interesting to see how this all unfolds. It really is.
And the Texans said they wanted 3 firsts plus minimum.
Yeah, you give up what you...
Crazy.
Especially
so crazy.
Especially if he's able to play and he's innocent in this whole process. You give up what you got to give up to get the franchise quarterback. It kind of doesn't matter because that position's so important in the NFL. But at the same time, if you're going to have no first-round picks the next 4 or 5 years, it makes it harder to build a team. It's harder to get those elite pieces.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I think the best situation personally for Deshaun Watson to actually find that success would be Cleveland or Carolina.
It would definitely be Carolina.
I like
because he would look better in the Carolina uniform.
I agree.
That's the only reason.
No one likes the Browns.
No.
All right, other piece of news, kind of like world breaking. Tom Brady, he's back. So
yeah, everyone saw this coming. It's so obvious, I definitely saw it. That's why I kept him in Dynasty.
Yeah,
unlike some people here, not here, but some people listening.
Imagine being that dumb, dropping Tom Brady.
what a bad move. That just makes my trading of Dak Prescott even make me feel even better, because I move on from him in a league where I had no need for him. Now I have Josh Allen and Dak Prescott still, or Tom Brady, excuse me, still. I'm chilling.
I mean, it's not Justin Herbert and Deshaun Watson, but that's pretty good.
No, but I also have Mitch Trubisky and Daniel Jones.
I also have Zach Wilson, and I thought I had Mitch Trubisky in that league. Or do I have Mitch in my league?
Yeah.
I've got another quarterback in Johnny's league.
Probably like Ian Buck or something.
Maybe. Stud.
Dust.
He's a legend.
Dust.
So Tom Brady, he's back. Very likely that the Bucs now take that division unless Deshaun Watson appears within it. And at that point, it's very likely that Brady still wins the division. So going to be interested to see how that all plays out. But let's talk about the Lions and the Bengals now. We'll start with your Lions. Talk about some of their signings. You like them? Do you not like them? Stuff like that.
Their only free agent, true free agent, new bring-in player signing is DJ Chark. 1 year.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're gonna get copyrighted here. I like the signing a lot because
that's what I was doing.
Yeah,
Face is waiting around for 7 minutes.
I heard the beat and I was like, do I think is this what I think it is? Because you had it very quiet and I heard a very faint beat.
How are we gonna get copyright? We're not getting money from this.
No, but they're listening to us. They're gonna sue us for everything we own.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I'm a DJ Chark fan. I have been since he came out of LSU, so I've got no issue with this. He made a Pro Bowl once in his career. He's flashed some legitimate receiving ability. He's a big body, 6'4", 4.3 speed, deep threat, good enough in contested. Not a stud contested catch guy for someone his size. Kind of like Mike Williams is just a contested catch freak. It's not really the same for DJ Chark, but he's more of a field stretcher. Can still get up there. A $10 million contract for 1 year. I've got no problem with that. It's, I kind of prove, see if you're a true wide receiver one, and we can offer you something bigger, and it still leaves the potential of drafting a wide receiver in the draft too. So I at that point, it'll probably be a second round pick instead of a first round pick. They'll use the first round pick on two positions that they could, benefit more from having the 5th year option on. So I've got no issue with what they're going to have to do now in the draft. I love the signing. I'm all good for it. other than that, you look at Charles Harris, 2 years, $14 million. I've got zero issue with that. He was awesome this year. It's a great deal. Khalif Raymond was a 2-year deal. I don't know how much money, but it wasn't anything expensive. Tracy Walker gets a 3-year, $25 million deal, $17 million guaranteed. I thought he was going to get paid like $4 million a year more than that. So I think this is a hell of a deal. All for it. Josh Reynolds, 2-year contract. I want to say that was like $12 million. Yeah, $12 million, so $6 million a year. Again, that's nothing, no problem with that. And then the rest of the guys, Anzalone, Boyle, Brown, Elliott, Hamilton, they're not necessarily all big impact players. Anzalone, he's a defensive captain, plays some snaps, plays some minutes, but the other guys are just kind of backups. I've got no issue with who they've brought in, who they've kept around. I just like them to be a little more active.
Yeah, and the wide receiver situation, I think, could be awesome if they go after a guy who's sitting there at 34, which there's going to be starting caliber wide receivers sitting there at 34. Mm-hmm. They could have Amon-Ra St. Brown, whoever they get at 34, plus DJ Chark. If they bring in Malik Willis at that number 2 spot, those 3 are plenty of weapons, plus DJ Hawkinson and DeAndre Swift. That'll be plenty of weapons to grow Malik Willis into a potential starter later on into the year and for the foreseeable future.
The beauty of the situation here is, the Jags aren't going to take a wide receiver at 33 because the Lions are picking 32 and 34. They're not taking a receiver at 33 because they found their guys. They got Christian Kirk. They got Zay Jones. Yikes.
Christian Kirk for $84 million up to, I should say.
Yeah, 18 guaranteed a year, 72 guaranteed over 4 years.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Why?
I don't know. And then from there, Zay Jones isn't getting like $10 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
For the 4th receiver on the Raiders. What?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. We'll talk more about the Jags moves in our free agency recap.
We will, but Balky needs to be fired.
I know you. Yeah, you're not a big fan of some of their moves they made.
Holy hell! Their free agency needs to wind up in a big way because those on top of Myles Jack news makes me want to just pull my hair out.
Hey, at least they didn't sign Chase Edmonds.
That's a good point.
All right, hey, let's go with the Bengals now. They made 2 big free agent signings, not like huge, but they go and get Alex Kappa, the right guard, out of Tampa, and then Ted Karras out of New England. He's a center left guard hybrid. He's probably going to be a center for us unless we go out and get one, or maybe like Linderbaum falls, which would be a dream.
There's no way he does though.
There's no way, but it'd be a dream. So
that would definitely be a dream.
I gotta wake up.
Yeah, I would be pinching you very hard to wake you up.
So I'm a big fan, obviously, going out in the first 2 hours of free agency and getting 2 offensive linemen to help protect Joe Burrow. Big fan. We also bring back B.J. Hill on a 3-year, $30 million contract. He was awesome for us. I can't believe we gave up Billy Price for him. He made a big interception in, I think it was the AFC Championship game, but I think it was.
Yeah.
I don't think he got an interception in the Super Bowl.
I don't think so.
But anyways, he's been a very impactful player for us. So to see him return for 3 years is absolutely awesome. And then Clark Harris, absolute legend. He's our long snapper. Wears number 46. Has the super long hair, the really bushy mustache. Amazing.
Legendary person, legendary number.
No, it's not.
Legendary position as well, the trifecta.
Sure. So yeah, those are our thoughts on the Lions and the Bengals.
And I'd say overall, other than Uzama leaving, which is a good locker room presence leaving.
We lost Ogunjobi too, which kind of stinks. But Ogunjobi and BJ Hill, I saw as like very similar players. Ogunjobi went and got $40 million over 3 years. We got BJ Hill for $10 million less, so I'll take that.
The Bengals do not need to pay him that much money, so that's fair. But like it should be considered a win for them because it just shows that now they're going to go draft a tight end too. Like they have to. Like Drew Sample's not that guy.
Maybe one of the guys we talk about.
Maybe. How mad would you be if they took a tight end in the first round?
Extremely mad. I'd be pissed. Because there is not one tight end here that I'd want in the first round.
Yeah, that's reasonable. We'll talk about it more too as we get on. Mm-hmm. But it's just I don't see it happening. But if the offensive line goes heavy, like I think there's a chance it does, they might just feel like, all right, we really need to bolster our position here.
I think even if it goes heavy, like you're either dropping an insane defensive lineman talent, or you can still get good offensive linemen because that position group is so deep as well. So I'm excited for that. All right, you want to get into our top 8 wide receivers?
We might as well already here.
So how this is going to work, Chase and I are going to go ahead right 1 through 8, run right through it, talk about what we think of each player, and very briefly, it's going to be like a 30, 60-second type of thing, and then we're going to go one by one for each player. So we'll get into that now. Chase, I'll let you go first. We are doing wide receivers before tight ends.
I'm just running through my names 1 through 8 and then moving on. Not even really talk about them.
Okay.
We'll talk about them together.
I'm excited because this very well could be like, let's preface with this wide receiver class is great.
Yes, it is.
I don't see any of these guys being a Jamar Chase, but it's very deep.
It is very deep, and I see probably 3 to 5 impact guys in day one, but you can't say anyone's going to be Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. You can't predict record breakers every year.
But even coming out of the draft, I had Jamar Chase rated higher than all these guys.
I did as well.
So it's very deep, and there's a good possibility that Chase and I don't have the same names, but that doesn't mean that we think one is bad versus the other, and we'll get into that more as we go on. But Chase, go ahead.
Number 1, wide receivers.
Oh, no.
I have George Pickens from Georgia.
Oh, wow. That is high. Okay.
Number 2, Treylon Burks from Arkansas. Number 3, Drake London from USC. Number 4, Christian Watson from North Dakota State. Number 5, Chris Olave from Ohio State. Number 6, Jameson Williams from Alabama. Number 7, Jahan Dotson from Penn State. Number 8, Garrett Wilson from Ohio State.
Wow. Okay. Well, you're going to hate my list then, because number 1, Garrett Wilson.
Oh, are you serious?
Number 2, George Pickens. Number 3, Treylon Burks. Number 4, Drake London. Number 5, Chris Olave. Number 6, Jameson Williams. Number 7, Jahan Dotson. Number 8, David Bell out of Purdue.
So we had 7 of the 8 same in the list, just different orders.
And I want to say Christian Watson, my number 9.
That's fair. David Bell was my number 10.
So
number 11, sorry.
They're right there. I'm very excited because let's go over George Pickens first.
Absolutely.
He's your number 1. He's my number 2. This is a guy who has had injury problems. He had the ACL this year in his sophomore year. He had some lingering upper body issues. So he hasn't had the extreme production that a player should see. And likely, I would not be shocked if he's a second-round wide receiver, like in the real draft, taken off the board.
You want to hear how my grading system put him out?
Sure.
It put him out as worthy of a top 5 pick. That's the talent level I think George Pickens offers.
When he's on the field, he's elite.
Yes, he is the one receiver. If everyone stays healthy, hits their ceiling, George Pickens is the best receiver in this draft class, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close. He would be a locked and loaded top 10 receiver in the NFL. Again, not even close. Could even argue maybe a top 7 to 5. He is that dude. Great size and speed combination. I mean, he's a true, like 4.3 to 4.4 on game tape type of receiver. Like he can get downfield. He's got enough agility. He's a good route runner. Just great body control. Awesome catch radius. I mean, there's really not anything he can't do. The only thing you worry about is, he's coming off of an injury and didn't get to play a lot this year. But that doesn't matter. This kid dominated from an early age and showed that he's a very transferable skill set to the NFL. His skill set is what transfers to the NFL more. You look at the smaller guys like the John Rosses, you have a very close experience with as a Bengals fan. Those smaller guys don't always translate. Big receivers translate a lot quicker and a lot more often. Mm-hmm. And George Pickens offers that size, that strength, along with that absolute elite athleticism. I don't know how you can't. I don't know how you would see this guy as being anything but a locked and loaded first round pick.
Yeah, and me having him at 2. Even though I said, wow, that's very high having him at number 1, he very likely could have been my number 1 if it wasn't for the lingering issues, like when it comes to injuries. Also, at the start of his career at Georgia, he did have a little bit of immaturity issues. It seems like most of those have been resolved, but if he gets on the field, he's an elite receiver. And as a projection, a lot of these guys I have elite slot playmaker, elite physical specimen, stuff like that. I just have him as elite receiver because he is the best pure receiver in this draft class. The one thing that I think I kind of see out of him a little bit, and don't take it as he's going to live up to these 2 legends, but he's kind of got the size and route running of AJ Green. He's a little bit skinnier as of right now. He can bulk up a little bit, but he plays very physical and aggressive. And after the catch, he reminds me a lot of Julio Jones. He's a guy that's going to go after that ball. Once he has it in his hands, he's going to make a play. So George Pickens, an absolute stud. Love him.
It's hard to say a receiver's going to live up to any certain player. It's hard to say any player's live up to whoever they're compared to. But this is a guy who legitimately, you can reasonably say he's gonna be the guy that lives up to him and have confidence in saying that. Foreshadowing.
I agree. Do we want to go Treylon Burks next, or should
no? Let's go your number one.
Okay. I've got Garrett Wilson, my number one, and the reason I have that is because he was just the biggest playmaker on film, at least in my opinion. Obviously, George Pickens had some big catches, Drake London, Treylon Burks as well, but the things that he was able to do after the catch, and a lot of people love Treylon Burks. They compare him to like a Deebo Samuel because of what he can do with the ball in his hands. I said pretty easily Garrett Wilson was my best run after the catch receiver, in my opinion. He was doing things that I could only see the likes of Jamar Chase or Deebo Samuel doing. He attacks the ball. He needs to refine his routes a little bit. I won't lie about that. But the way he's able to contort his body, use his athleticism to make a bad pass actually complete is awesome. I think his spatial awareness is huge, phenomenal hands. And like I said, after the catch, he does some stuff that is super fun to watch. Reminds me of a prime OBJ.
So that's where my only problem actually lies with him. Not because he's bad at it, but because the way it's done for him at Ohio State. I still, him being my number 8 receiver here, he grades as a top 40 pick in this draft class, which just shows to the depth and talent level of this receiving class. But, the reason that I don't have him as a safe, lock loader first round guy is, at Ohio State, they are a very, quick pass, slant heavy type of team. And he ran a lot of slant routes and caught a lot of balls, 5 to 7 yards from line of scrimmage and then made plays from there, which is perfectly fine. Like you do that in the NFL, but you're significantly less likely to find that open space and do that damage in the NFL than you are in college. So my biggest concern is, can he offer a little more than just that part of the game, which I'm sure he can, but we didn't really get to see it enough at Ohio, other than, at Ohio State, because other than, those routes, there wasn't he didn't do like a whole lot. They didn't ask him to do a crap ton. They just wanted to give him the ball quickly and let him create, which is perfectly fine again. But you got to really be elite to do that at an efficient level in the NFL. And I think it's possible, but there's just enough of a question where it just puts these other guys ahead.
See, I think that shows how special he is, that Ohio State was willing to just make him do that. It just shows how special his playmaking is after the catch. And to me, I don't know about when you were watching on tape, but there was a lot of guys that could do stuff after the catch. Treylon Burks.
Oh, yeah.
Drake London, even. I was surprised how good he is after the catch. The likes of Sky Moore and Wan'Dale Robinson. A lot of guys can do stuff after the catch. Garrett Wilson was doing things I didn't see on anyone else's tape. That's why I've got him as my number one.
It's fair. I just, if you at the end of the day, you can go have a lot of success in the NFL, and you can say, "Oh, you're wrong. You had him at 8." Yeah, again, I still have him as a top 40 pick. Like, if he goes in the first round, I'm not going to be mad.
Right.
It's just he's going to be a very good NFL player. I firmly believe that. I wonder. I don't think he's going to have the same amount of efficient success that he did in college, which is obviously fair to assume anyway. But I think it's going to drop a fair amount, especially at least to start.
All right, let's now talk about your number 2, which is Treylon Burks, right?
Hell yeah.
I've got him at my number 3. Consensus, a lot of people have him as their number 1. So let's talk about why we don't.
Well, I was on the Treylon Burks wide receiver 1 train all year long. I was
too.
It literally only changed when I did my film analysis, and I knew how good George Pickens was, but it just, watching George Pickens back a little more, watching a little more detailed, it just really stood out to me.
So fluid and smooth.
Yeah, it all just stood out. But we're not talking about George anymore. We're talking about Treylon Burks, who is an absolute menace on the football field. This is the guy who, if I'm choosing one player I want to try to get just the ball to manufacture touches, I want it to be Treylon Burks, because he's got enough size and strength where he's going to be able to break tackles and straight on, if he's going to be one-on-one with a defender, he can just run him over. He's got enough agility where he can get around him. He's got good speed. He's not like some absolute burner, but if you're going to say a 4.55 on a 40 is bad for Treylon Burks, then you're stupid, because he plays he doesn't play any slower than that. He plays, as a faster type of player. Some players slow down with the pads on. Treylon Burks certainly does not. And when that size is moving at that speed, it's hard to take down. So he's someone that, he's going to get a lot of targets within that 5 to 10 yard range. He's going to be able to be used downfield. He's going to be able to be used as running back. He is going to be a Deebo Samuel type guy, as you mentioned. As long as the team is willing to use him that way, I should say. But I really think he is one of the couple players that are going to immediately translate to the NFL, being a 1,000-yard guy.
Yeah, it's crazy seeing a 6'3", 225 receiver line up in the backfield, I got to say.
And look unbelievably natural at it.
And I thought he played faster than his 4.55, at least when he gets up to speed. His acceleration and burst isn't up to the level as some of these other guys, but that's not saying it's bad by any means. He's a guy that can get to that point, but once he gets to his max speed, he's a bowling ball. You're not going to want to get in front of him.
And people think, he ran this 4.55, so he must not be a great separator. Well, at the end of the day, speed doesn't have them as much of a separation as you think. Yeah, if you're going on a go route, sure, you want to just run the guy in a track race, but it's at the end of the day, it's about trying to deceive the defender and make him believe you're going to do one thing or another and cause them to kind of hesitate. That's what gets you the separation, and Treylon Burks is great at doing that.
Yeah, very solid at the old route running. The one little niche that I had to complain about Treylon Burks is oftentimes, and this could very well be just Arkansas and their way of using him, oftentimes it seemed like he started a little bit slow. He's kind of like a Derrick Henry where the first couple of times he gets the ball, it's maybe a 5-6 yard gain, but then towards the end of the game, he's putting 20, 30 yard receptions in there. So,
but wouldn't you rather a guy perform at the end of the game than early in the game?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like all these other guys were performing, all the way through, and it's not really a big thing. Treylon Burks still my number 3. I think he's still awesome.
He's great.
Is Drake London your next guy?
Drake London is my next guy.
Because he's my next as well, and I'm surprised because shout out my cousin Landon. He's he is the Locker Room Podcast. Don't want to say a part because he is the guy now. Yeah. He didn't have Drake London in his top 5, and I was expecting maybe like a Jameson Williams to be higher than him. Not the case. I'm a big fan of Drake London. He's my number 4. You're number 3.
Oh yeah, Mike Evans. Mike Evans, who's better in open space, better in finding space too. Like 6'5", 210, 215 pounds is what he'll end up measuring in. Good enough speed to go with it. I don't remember what his 40 time translates to. He didn't get to run, obviously, but I don't know what he was running in college. Can't remember. Doesn't really matter. He's unreal in contested situations. As we mentioned, he's actually excellent after the catch. Not just he's pretty good. He's surprisingly wow, this guy can do it. He can find open space, make defenders miss, as I mentioned. It's everything you want out of a true alpha receiver. He's still a guy I really want the Lions to draft. Even though they got DJ Chark, it doesn't matter. I want Drake London. I think this is the guy that can be that number 1 receiver on literally any team in the NFL. It will work in any offense because he can be used deeper downfield in a contested catch. He can be used in the red zone. If you want him to catch it in a shorter range, he's going to have no issue with that as well. He's just a good football player, man.
He's faster than I thought. Coming into the tape, I thought this is going to be a guy who is slow as molasses. That's not the case.
He moves.
He is slower than the other guys in the class.
He still moves.
He still moves just fine. After the catch, great. The one thing that stood out to me with Drake London, and it's taught from when you're a little kid all the way to the next level, is he didn't catch one ball with his body. At least the film that I watched.
Not at all.
He was very aggressive, get the hands on it, and obviously he's got the big frame, big hands, got the huge catch radius, so he's a guy that is going to be flying at that ball, 2 hands on it, could make some one-handed catches, so...
I said it about another player in this draft class, but it can be used here now. He attacks the ball when it's coming at him. It isn't just wait for it to come to him. He is like, that ball is mine and I will have it.
Yeah.
Whatever that takes, and he gets it done.
Absolutely. Who's your number 4? Is it Watson?
It is Christian Watson. By the way, all as I said, if you didn't do the math right, I have 6 receivers that are first-round grades, so my first 6 receivers are all first-round grades. I would, right now, George Pickens, I said top 5. And then Drake London, Treylon Burks, both these guys I have as guys you could legitimately take top 16 players.
There you go. All right, let's talk about Christian Watson now so we can be back on a similar track because I've gone through my top 4. You've gone through your 1 through 3 and then your 8. So, Christian Watson, what do you like about him?
So he's got pretty good vision, especially trying to hit the open field. Great athleticism for his size. Another big body receiver, 6'3", legitimate 4.3 speed. He's got the right athleticism and just natural playmaking ability combination that you need, combined with a good size. The only thing is, I don't like hindering guys for their level of competition I'm playing against, but it still is something worthy to be said because defenders are missing a little more. He is a little more open space, a little more ground to be had. So we'll see what he does. Once he gets an NFL field against NFL defenders, but I don't think it's gonna be too much of a concern. He'll end up going probably in the second round. I think it's where NFL teams are going to kind of have him. Mm-hmm. But I have him as a first-round guy, really because of the size and athleticism combination. He's one of very few players that I have just an athleticism / traits category that I grade with, which is how your speed, your agility, size, all this stuff combined. And he's one of 3 players that I've graded so far total that have a 6 out of 6.
Yeah, Christian Watson. Big, ran a 4.36 at the combine. The very first thing I have here is big and fast. I like to use the term gamer. He was a gamer for me on film, similar to the likes of a Sam Howell, a guy who is going to do all the extra dirty work. It seemed like when anything was happening where the ball wasn't going to him, he was going to find a block, which I absolutely loved. Good hands and routes, good after the catch, good physicality too. The one thing I saw a little bit is that if he doesn't get out of his release quick enough, he can be knocked off a little bit by the corner. If he's playing press man, he can put a hand into him. He gets shaken a little bit. He still gets his route completed, but it takes just a tad bit longer. And then level of competition, it does affect a little bit, in my opinion. That's why he's at number 9, but I still think he's great. I would still be very happy if my team took him in the top 40 picks. Receivers
is one of the positions where it actually does kind of matter because if you're on a team like North Dakota State where they're going to consistently have a quarterback who can throw the ball, all you got to do is just get open and he's going to find you, and then you can have a little more free reign from there, as I kind of mentioned. So it's one of the few positions where I truly think that it does matter, but I see enough in his game anyway, talent-wise, where it shouldn't be too much of a transition for him.
And that's one of the things that I was kind of battling with when it came to Christian Watson is I was thinking, does he just have supreme route running? That's why he's always open, or is it the level of play? And it was a little bit of both. That's why I think he's got good route running. I don't think he's extremely good at it. I think that's going to be a guy we talk about very soon here. I think he's pretty good at route running. But who's your number 5?
My number 5 just so happens. Oh, it's freaking out of me. Just so happens to be Chris Olave.
That is the guy I was thinking exactly. Chris Olave is my number 5 as well. I think, in my opinion, he was the best route runner out of this class.
Word for word, my first line. Best route runner in this class.
There we go.
My only concern is is it going to be Jerry Jeudy 2.0, where he goes to a team, he's a great route runner. It shouldn't matter who his quarterback is because he's going to be able to just have the awareness and the smooth route running ability where he's going to get open, and then all of a sudden he gets 100 targets and has 51 drops. Is that going to happen or something for whatever reason? I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not.
Jerry Jeudy's still a talented receiver, but leaves a bad taste in my mouth just the way his career started. But it shouldn't matter. Chris Olave, he's a first-round pick. Route runners that strong route runners have high. Jeez, I can't talk today.
High hockey IQ,
high football IQs, because they have an understanding of if this whatever route it might be, you got to be 3 yards out and then you make your cut. They know that it's exactly 3. They will never go an inch more or less. They just truly understand the game.
Mm-hmm.
Not a pure possession receiver or anything like that. That's just not his game, but. He goes. He can still catch the ball. He's got elite athleticism. I don't see him being some sort of juke master where he's going to go hop side to side and make you dance around. Right. But he's got enough speed and burst where he can get to the outside. And if there's 2 defenders tightening in on him, he can just burst through him just enough with that athleticism where he can make a miss.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people thinking he's just, that deep threat. He's going to be your John Ross type of player, your Jalen Waddle type of. That's completely not the case in my mind.
Yeah.
I put here, he's got really good speed, but he doesn't feel like that true deep threat. The way he wins is with a combination of speed plus his elite route running. So that's what's going to get him. I think could be an excellent slot receiver that wins with deep post routes. Can beat the defensemen or defensive backs and the safeties out there. So I think he's really good. I think the run after the catch is solid. I don't think it's great, but then again, I came off of watching Garrett Wilson to Chris Olave. So, but the one thing he's got that really wows me is he's got super special spatial awareness and being able to find those empty gaps. He can make that little move to get the corner or the safety off and then hit it, and he's wide open. And we saw that so many times. I saw it against my Michigan State Spartans, and it hurt.
Yeah, all the things you said there is why I think he's the better chance of having success in the NFL as these Ohio State receivers. I don't know. It just seems like he's more transferable to the NFL to me for some reason.
Yeah, I could agree because, route running is super important, but the game that we're in right now is why I went Garrett Wilson, because the receivers that shined were doing special things after the catch. Deebo Samuel, who is widely considered a top 5 wide receiver right now, which I was kind of taken off by that, but I mean, he played great. Jamar Chase is doing stuff after the catch. Cooper Kupp was doing insane things after the catch. So, that's the only reason I would have Garrett Wilson this high. If it was 2 years ago, it might be very different. And it's also why I have David Bell here. So we'll talk about him a little bit later. But our number 6, both of us, I believe, is Jameson Williams.
Yep.
All right, what do you like about Williams?
I didn't put a ton of notes on him because, I think it's just what I have here does enough justice. I have a smooth wide receiver who emerged for Bama this year, well-rounded, big play threat that has enough of a skill set to operate as any team's number 1. That's really is what it boils down to. He kind of, he was looked at as a talented receiver, but everyone thought, okay, this is John Mechie's year for Bama. He's going to be the dude. Yeah. He's maybe wide receiver 1 in this class. And then Jameson Williams comes out, plays great, ends up being that dude for Bama. And he truly is he's a better version, a better, slower version of Henry Ruggs. He's going to be a bigger play type guy, but, he's going to be useful down the field. But I like him, as just a little more talented, a little more instinctual, someone that can operate more than just in a straight line.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at the wide receiver draft class overall and looking at these top guys, Jameson Williams is going to be that more deep threat speedster out of the rest of them. So he's a guy that I really like, dynamic speed. He's actually got a lot of versatility too. A lot of times I saw him going around the quarterback, behind the quarterback, doing jet sweeps and everything. So that was really cool. I thought he had really good deceleration, which is actually super important when it comes to route running and everything. But he also had the late hands that Jamar Chase has. He doesn't throw them out there until super late, so the defensive back doesn't even know the ball's coming to him. So I like him a lot there. The only knocks I have on him is he's got some lack of strength, obviously. He's got the height, but the weight doesn't really match, being at 6'2", around 190 pounds. And then the contested catches isn't super consistent. He can win them, but there's times where he loses them as well. That's the only reason he's my number 6. A really good player. He's going to be able to do a lot in the NFL.
Agreed. And he is the cutoff of my first-round wide receivers.
So now we move on to Jahan Dotson. Is he your number 7?
He's my number 7.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, how fancy is that? So, I like Jahan Dotson. I think he's a creative option for a pass game in the NFL. Not going to do anything, for you, physically. Like he's not some just big body go up. I'm going to make this catch and fight off these 3 defenders and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he can win athletically. He definitely can. Smaller guy, good at, a good solid athletic profile. I could see him, being like I said, a pretty good NFL contributor, but I just don't know what his ceiling is. I think he could really be more like a really good number 2 option in an offense. I don't know if I'm ready to call him like a number 1 because these types of guys usually don't profile as number 1s. Mm-hmm. But if you go from this draft class and you compare him with like Drake London, for example, if you're a team that can somehow get both of them, that's a really good 1-2 option to have. It's 2 completely different type of guys that you can kind of use wherever on the field and get what you can out of them.
Yeah, and Jahan Dotson, I'm going to make a comparison here. I think he's better than the guy I'm comparing him to, but just when it comes to play style, I think he's similar to the likes of a Mecole Hardman. He's got that speed that can go long, but I think he can also do some stuff after the catch. We saw him a lot, actually, in the kick and punt returns, so I liked seeing the versatility out of him there. He's probably going to find a nice role in special teams right away, and I could see him being a decent producer in his first year, but not going to be one of these world burners in his first year. So This is a guy that I like, but I agree. I'm not really sure where the ceiling is for him.
of my top 8 receivers, if I'm choosing one that takes the longest to transition to the NFL, it's him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, so we will now go to my last wide receiver, and that would be David Bell out of Purdue. He is my number 8, standing in at 6'2", 205. He had really good stats this year. The thing that I thought about him, not overly physical, even though he's got that 6'2" size, not a real aggressive wide receiver, but he's got great route running. He's really good after the catch. And I even said, coming out of the draft, he reminds me a little bit of A.J. Brown when it comes to his route running and finding those openings in the gaps of the defense.
Yeah, that's fair. I truly think that David Bell is someone who has a legitimate chance at being a top 3 to 5 receiver in this class, all said and done. But I think he could bust extremely heavily is the problem. I just don't quite know what it is. Something about his game, I just see it. I just don't know if he's going to be able to bring it to the NFL. I don't know why. It's just a feeling I get, and I kind of got to trust my gut feelings when it comes to these type of things. That's how I operate. But, he definitely is someone that's, got good body control, good ball skills. He's, creative enough as a receiver too, where he can, he can win on a route. He can find some open space. I could see him having success for sure. I just, I don't know. I don't know if he can do it like day one or anything.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like he was a little bit safer than Christian Watson, at least in my opinion. But interesting.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
Who is your 9 and 10? Because you said you had him at 11, right?
Yes. So my number 9, let me get your 1 sec. Sorry. My number 9 is Sky Moore.
Okay.
My number 10 is Kyle Phillips.
Okay. I didn't watch any Kyle Phillips, but
Dude,
Sky Moore is 11 for me. Wandale Robinson would be my number 10.
Brett Coleman turned me on to him.
Okay.
You should go watch him because guy's a dude.
Guy's a dude. Okay. 5'11", 191.
Brett Coleman calls him.
Love Brett Coleman.
Yeah, love him as well. Calls him Hunter Renfrow on 2 shots of espresso.
So are you going to have the, was it the Brett Coleman video that was like 5 prospects that you don't know yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you going to have those guys for, there was 2 tight ends in that list. So I wonder if you're going to have them here.
Well, the one I already did know.
Okay.
And
I know who the one you're talking about.
I didn't finish the video though.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's.
And anyways, I knew Kyle Phillips before that video anyway.
Oh, okay.
Because he was on. So Kyle Yates left Fantasy Pros, created his own thing. So he was on an earlier episode of whatever they were doing for that, and he mentioned him at that point. So I was like, let me check this dude out. And the guy's just awesome. He's gonna be a slot receiver, but he's gonna be an awesome slot receiver. It might be one of the best in the league.
There we go. All right, so those are our wide receiver rankings. Let's head over to our tight end rankings. Same exact way this is going to work. We've got 4 tight ends that we're going to be talking about. It's going to go 1 through 4. Then we'll get into talking about them. I'm very curious to see if we have the same 4. So I'll let you go first.
It's possible. Number 1, I have Isaiah Likely out of Coastal Carolina. Number 2, I have Trey McBride out of Colorado State. Number 3, I have Jalen Wydermyer out of Texas A&M. Number 4, I have Chig Okonkwo, however the hell you say it.
Yep.
I cannot say it, out of Maryland. Okonkwo, right?
Yep.
Okonkwo.
Okay. So Chig Okonkwo, he
Yes.
was one of the guys in the Brett Coleman video.
Yeah.
My top 4 goes as follows. Number 1, Trey McBride. Number 2, Jalen Wydermyer.
Wow, you're a hater.
Number 3, Isaiah Likely.
You're a hater.
And number 4, Jelani Woods out of Virginia.
Okay, I don't have an issue with that.
All right, let's hop into Trey McBride first because he's your number 2. He's my number 1.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Trey McBride, he's just your all around tight end. Like the number 1 thing I said was that he reminded me of a lesser version of Hawk. Like he can do it in the ground game when it comes to obviously blocking. I think he's the best blocker out here. That's not like just pure pass and run blocking. He's got good route running. Speed is solid, but he's got very reliable hands, able to make that spectacular catch. And after the catch, he seemed just fine to me. I think that if the speed was a little bit better, he very well could have been one of the more dynamic tight ends coming into the draft, but it's only, solid. So that's why I've got him there.
Yeah. So he kind of reminds me of like if Kyle Juszczyk was a little bit bigger and like more of a receiving option. it's kind of what I feel, because I truly think that Trey McBride, he can be a move tight end. You can use him, in line, have him starting there. He can be used as a fullback. Like he can kind of be this jack of all trades type of tight end, and having those types of guys are awesome. Good enough blocker, great receiver, great set of hands. He really attacks the ball in the air. He doesn't. I don't think he relies too much on body catches. Is what I saw. My one issue is he didn't score a lot of touchdowns in college. Mm-hmm. So it's a strange thing for when a tight end doesn't score touchdowns, because they don't get targeted a lot in college. When they do, it's usually within the red zone. So I don't know why that is. I didn't really analyze it enough. I didn't like see anything that pointed out to why that would be in the videos. Maybe he doesn't get enough separation in the end zone. I don't know, but it's a slightly concerning because he only had like 8 or 9 in his career.
I know the number one route, I should say, Trey McBride ran was just tight end slants right across the middle. And as a guy who's not super fast, he's not going to get to his position they need to right away. So that could be the case when it comes to his touchdowns. Also, it could just be an Atlanta Falcons situation where they just don't target their best receiver or best option in the end zone whatsoever. I don't know why, but 90 receptions for 1,100 yards. That's huge stats by a tight end. So
it definitely is. Like he's definitely a talented guy, and I think he's gonna be a successful NFL tight end. But I got him as right now he's a day 2 pick, someone that could go end a second to early third.
If the Bengals took him at 63, I'd be very excited.
That'd be fine.
All right, let's now talk about your number 1, Isaiah Likely.
This is what I got on this dude. True all-purpose tight end. He's a great receiving option. He is a good blocker. It's something that he's had to work on over the last few years, but he's definitely developed it. And I guess good might be over selling. I guess he's more of a quality blocker, someone who can do it right away in the NFL. You don't have to take him off in those blocking situations. You can trust him. He's good enough there. And when you combine that with being a great athlete, it's a skill set that immediately translates to the NFL. He's someone that with that blocking skill set, he truly feels like a natural receiving talent to me. And when you get those out of a tight end with his size, his athleticism, it's hard not to view this guy highly. Right now, he is graded as my highest rated day 2 pick. So he's pretty close to being rated as a first round pick for me.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
See, when you say his size and athleticism, he is one of the smaller tight ends coming out of this class. 6'4", 240. Also, on tape, the speed didn't really wow me that much.
See, I don't think it was too bad. I really don't. I don't know.
I don't think it's bad. I won't say it's bad, but I fully expected to come into this and see the likes of a Kyle Pitts athleticism. Not the case. No one's going to be Kyle Pitts.
No, it's not quite like that. And I should probably phrase this differently. It's it's not like he's a big body guy that's going to go win catches, but smaller tight ends like his in terms of height, they're kind of almost overlooked by defenders. It feels like to me in the NFL. This could be a completely wrong take. I don't know, but when guys are a little bit on the shorter side, they are, I feel almost a little bit better in those shorter yardage situations. And then he's got enough strength, combined with that size being 6'2", 240, that he's going to break a couple tackles and get those extra yards.
Yeah, and Isaiah Likely, I fully expected, and this was the guy I texted you about. I texted Chase and said that there's a tight end that has surprised me. You asked me good or bad. I said both, because he surprised me. He was a much better pass blocker than I expected. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think he's great. I think you were right when you said, good, maybe more closer to serviceable, because when he actually picks up the assignment, he's very good at, making that block. But there's often times where I saw him just read it wrong and he missed. And that's not a huge thing that can be taught at the next level very easily. So I was very impressed that his pass blocking was better than I expected. I thought he had good routes, but he wasn't that dominant pass catcher that I perceived. I expected Foley to come into this and be like, wow, this guy is nearly a wide receiver. He's being so dominant out there. That wasn't the case. Also, there was one thing that bugged me about him. And I know you've talked about I think Breece Hall was a similar case for you when it comes to this, but the way he ran was really weird. His strides were very short. And so it looked like he just was not as fast as I thought he was. It looked kind of like, I don't know, a little goofy.
It comes with being a short king.
Yeah, 6'4", a short king. So, yeah, his strides weren't very long, and I was very distracted with that. But Overall, I think he's good. I think he's going to be serviceable in the NFL for sure. But I've just got these other two guys higher.
While we're talking about tight ends, I'm doing NCAA Dynasty. I've been playing here and there once in a while, and I
my mark's gone. What the hell?
I have a tight end. I don't remember the guy's name. I don't know, but he's legitimately 6'8", 270 pounds with 89 speed. Why can't we just have every tight end be that?
Well, we've got one in this class that I'm going to be talking about very soon.
Ooh.
All right, let's now talk about Jalen Wydermyer. He's my number 2. He's your number 3. Solid blocking. I think he's very similar to Isaiah Likely, that if he's able to get his man, he's perfectly fine when it comes to blocking. His consistency is a little bit iffy there. I didn't see a lot of burst from him, but he does have that really good breakaway speed. He's got very strong hands, great after the catch. Wish he had more targets, actually, in the college game, because he only had 40 receptions for 515 yards, 4 touchdowns. But this was a guy that I thought if he got more work, he could have seen a lot more upside. And it's also hard to look at the fact that he's only 21.2 years old. He's going to be 21 through the whole NFL season next year. That excites me too, because this guy could very well turn into something special.
He definitely could, and I do like Wydermyer. I think he's going to be one of these tight ends you like better for fantasy compared to the other ones. He's going to be a good athletic option, a good receiving option. And he's a willing blocker is what I have him listed as. I don't think he's even as good as a blocker as Likely, but he's willing to do it. So when you got someone who is engaging, it's something that you can hope to teach in the NFL. You can teach the form technique a little better, but he's not like he's shying away. It's not like that to take him off and put him, out wide in those situations. So it's a good sign to see. It just, what it comes down to for me is, what is the ceiling going to be? I don't know. I don't know how elite of a tight end he's going to be. I think he could be, a good tight end. Someone, if he's your number 1 tight end, you're doing fine. You're not winning at the position, but you're not like struggling either. It's kind of where his grade comes down to for me.
I could very well see him like a Delaney Walker type of tight end. Also, I totally understand the blocking that you brought up, the willing blocker. One thing that I noticed a lot and read about is that Wydermyer, at the beginning of the season, he didn't love to block. Like, he just wanted to be that receiving tight end.
Yeah.
And so he would do it, but it wasn't with any enthusiasm or whatsoever. But once they hit that game against Alabama, Texas A&M versus Alabama, around the middle of the year, he picked it up. And towards the end of the season, there's a lot of talk about him. If you just look up Jalen Wydermyer and see some summaries about him, this is a guy that really improved his willingness and ability to actually pass block towards the latter half of the college season. So still super young, and that really attracts me because I think he could have a pretty high upside. So we'll see.
For sure.
All right, let's talk about your boy, Chig.
Yeah. Chig Okonkwo. God, I don't know why I struggle with those names. Those are the only names I ever struggle with pronouncing.
Can you say Vita Vea's full name?
No.
Oh, okay.
So, Chig is definitely an interesting option.
Very interesting.
I have him more as a developmental move tight end. He needs to improve in the blocking game. Something that could be done. Maybe not. I don't know. He's not someone that's overly big. He's only 6'2", but he has, great athleticism. He's a legitimate threat as a receiver due to his unique build and athleticism combo. It's a guy who's, like a bit stocky, but is really impressive as an athlete. Someone that is going to get open. If you use him as a true receiving tight end, he's going to help you do damage, but you're going to have to take some time in developing, his route running and developing his just awareness for the game, developing his blocking. All these things do need improvements, because he's still very raw. He's only been, if I remember reading right, he's only been playing the position or football in general, one of the two, for 3 years. So it's still really new to the whole thing. So he's still got a lot to go. But if I'm taking a chance on a guy, this is the one I'm taking a chance on.
Yeah, Chig is super interesting. He's the Deebo Samuel of tight ends.
Yeah.
Because we've seen him play fullback. We've seen him play tight end, of course. We've seen him play halfback. We've seen him line up in the slot as a receiver type. So this is definitely a very interesting player, very dynamic. And he was in Brett Coleman's video, which I'm sure you saw. He had high praise for him, talking about how he is like a better, more athletic version of Kyle Juszczyk. So
yeah,
definitely a guy I'd be excited for.
So his his grading system for me comes out to like right now his football IQ awareness is only a 3.4 out of 6, which is it could improve. It's something that's not easy to improve, but can. But because I think he has a legitimate high ceiling, maybe the highest of anybody I've studied in this draft class, minus maybe the top 2 or 3 receivers. Mm-hmm. He grades pretty high in that aspect. So I'm 100% willing, if I'm a team, to take a chance on this guy. Really, in the 3rd round is probably more ideal. But you just got to be ready that he might not be able to just help you out right away. He can, like it's possible, but be patient with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's not talk about Jelani Woods. He is my number 4. My biggest red flag for Jelani Woods, he's 23 and a half years old, so he is a little bit older, and he's only been playing tight end for, I think it's 3 years as well, because I don't know if you know, but he came in as a quarterback.
Yeah.
So
I do remember that now. Now that you say that, I completely forgot about it till now.
And if you're like, oh, that's cool, a quarterback transitioning to a tight end, whatever. He's 6'7", 265 pounds. So think about a quarterback that's 6'7", 265 pounds.
Tyree Jackson, baby.
Yeah, that's a little something. So Jelani Woods, the reason that I like him so much is he's got insane speed. Let me get his 40 time up here for you. A 4.61 at 6'7", 265 pounds. He's a guy that he doesn't have great route running, but super athletic, a lot faster than a lot of people would think. He kind of reminds me of a Mo Alley Cox. He's got that huge size, huge catch radius, huge hands. He's going to be able to get it done in the receiving game. He needs work on his pass protection. There's no doubt about that. He's a former quarterback. But this is a guy who very well could dominate the middle of the field at the NFL level. So that's why I've got him here at my number 4.
Yeah, it's going to include a lot of development in the blocking game. Still a lot of development as just even a receiving option as well. I do like Jelani Woods, another guy that's worth taking a chance on. That size is really the most intriguing thing about it all. Mm-hmm. Just to show that you're having this type of production and being this new to the position too. It really is intriguing. A guy that is, in that same similar range as Chig is for me, kind of like that like the 3rd round pick, a guy that you can take day 2. If he falls into day 3, it's going to be gone pretty early. I definitely think that you got to be patient. You can't expect him to be your number 1 right away.
Right. Did you see when Brett Coleman talked about Jelani Woods in that video, or was he after Chig?
I believe he was after. I don't remember watching Jelani Woods in him.
Okay, so Brett Coleman actually compared him to a prime Jimmy Graham when he was just dominating in the receiving game. He said that he hates to compare anyone to Hall of Famers, but with the size and speed combo, Jelani Woods very well could do that.
Not that far off of a path. Jimmy Graham went from basketball to NFL, so right. He's going from quarterback to tight end in the NFL. Maybe you're like, okay, someone brand new to the position, maybe this is going to work. Who knows? Maybe it's some type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there is a lot of tight ends that could go in that late 3rd round to 4th round that could actually make impacts. There's the likes of Jake Ferguson, Jeremy Ruckert, Greg Dulcich, Cade Otton. A lot of those guys have gotten a lot of hype too. I've even seen Cade Otton as the number 1, which I think is a little shocking. I don't have him there. I've actually got him as my number 6. But I don't want the Bengals to go after Jeremy Ruckert just because he's an Ohio State guy, but I feel like they might.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with Jimmy Ruckert. Jimmy Ruckert, I think he could be pretty solid too. But really, the guys I talked about today are the ones I would have faith in having the chance of becoming like my number 1 tight end.
Yeah.
Someone though, he's really not a tight end. He's gonna be more fullback in the NFL. But Connor Hayward, dude, he's kind of fun. Mm-hmm. He's gonna be a day 3 pick, but like if you're willing to get real creative with them,
yeah,
like it could be something you could really use.
Very well, could be like a Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah.
So. All right, well, that's going to do it for our pass catcher rankings.
And by the way, if we were trying to combine wide receivers and tight ends into like, if you had just pure pass catching options, who's 1 through 8, it's the same thing. It's the receivers.
Yeah, no one reaches it for me either. But yeah, that is our pass catcher rankings, our top 4 tight ends, our top 8 wide receivers. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments. Let us know your top 8 wide receivers. Let us know your top 4 tight ends. Is there a specific player out of these two groups that you desperately want on your team? Maybe you're a Lions fan and you want someone to fall to that 34 pick. Who would it be? I want to thank you so much for coming out. If you want to stay up to date with all that we do, you can follow us on Twitter at WNP Sports Pod. That's again on Twitter at WNP Sports Pod. That link will be down in the description, as well as all of our other socials, including Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. If you are on YouTube, if you could please give us a like, comment, subscribe. We would really appreciate that. And make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. And if you are listening on a podcast platform, if you could please give us a 5-star rating and a follow. We would absolutely love you for it. Thanks so much for coming out. And as always, we're not professionals.